Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind. The fire will burn and never die. Looking through the eyes of a brand new life. And so just find me, just find me. Sparks will fly if we scream no. This is not how we're gonna go. We are the ones who'll never let go. Just watch us run to where no one knows. We'll never grow. We'll never grow. Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind. The fire will burn and never die. Looking through the eyes of a brand new life. And so
I return.
find me, just find me. Sparks
How we doing with
will
that?
fly if we scream no. This is not how we're gonna go. We are the ones who'll never let go. Just watch us run to where no one knows. We'll never grow.
disconnected. By the words that you say, the voice that carries them has kept me astray. Too soon to act on it, can we ever be? That all depends on what you're feeling from me. Let me show you all the way. Let me show you all the ways. Let me show you all the ways, yeah. Let me show you all the ways, taken by the words that you say. The voice that carries them has kept me astray. Too soon to act on it, can we ever be? That all depends on what you're feeling from me. Let me show you all the way. Let me show you all the ways. Let me show you all the ways, yeah. Let me show you all the ways,
wipe away my tears, so sincere. Turn gray skies to blue. You won't ever change your ways, doing what you do. Well, you can keep on talking, no one's the only
I feel so alive. I've never felt this way before. It must be you and I. It's got me thinking about us more. It's these bright lights that put me in a daze, and I can't stop but think about the way that you move around up and down on that stage. It's your future vibes. Bright lights that put me in a trance, so I feel like I can do it all. It's a good life that I really want. It's those future vibes. I heard that they want. I heard those future vibes that they want. I heard that they want. I got those future vibes.
Sound waves reaching the microphone are changed into impulses of electric current.
No need to worry about your pre-recorded music tapes being accidentally erased. It can't happen.
Welcome. I better put my push-talk key. Welcome to the Reverie Esports Open number 88. Sorry about the late start, guys. Unfortunately, a certain individual was taking their time and joining the lobby, so we're starting a little later than we originally anticipated. But we're ready for some League of Legends. I'm joined by the ever-awesome Octavian.
Nice intro as always. Thank you, Effect. And I promise it wasn't me late into the lobby, though I will not name names. I will not point fingers. We are here nonetheless, as we are going to be getting into what, number 82, was it?
88.
Are we on? 88. Whoa, I am way behind.
So we're rapidly approaching that 100-week mark.
The big old hundo indeed. Some pretty standard bans so far for the most part. Caitlyn has been seeing a rise back into the meta with the fall of lethality 80 carries and the rise of 80 attack-based ones, I suppose, with the strength of Lulu and Nami and such now coming to the forefront. And Zed and Syndra, a lot of focus towards Shurima. Not too terribly surprising that Shurima being the former mid laner and potentially still current mid laner for Rose Noir. He's not actually on a Rose Noir roster at the moment. He's on practice team, but I'm assuming, just with my Sherlock Holmes-ish deduction skills, that practice team is perhaps a practice team for some of these players.
That might be very possible. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Might be a bit of a stretch. I don't know.
But yeah, Shurima is a quite powerful player in the amateur scene for sure, and to send two bans his way makes a good amount of sense. We'll see what the first pick is here from Bendhovar Gaming, who are a returning team to our Rift here at Reverie.
It is worth noting that this is patch 7.6, so that this is the new Galio as well as some other minor buffs for a variety of characters. And he's hovering that Aatrox. He knows, but it's not gonna. It'll never be.
Well, it did see some changes recently, but actually that's a topic which I could delve into further, but we will not, because there, of course, won't be an Aatrox on the stream tonight. Graves, the first pick, so some priority on the jungle there, as there were quite a few jungle bans as well, with Elise, Kha'Zix, and Rengar all out of the picture. And Graves pretty much the last string one jungle pick left, so grabbing that
gun, that's
a lot of power. Pardon?
Graves has a gun. It's Cheney's strength. It's shooting people.
Oh, man. Every time. Effects. You got to leave that one at the door. You've used it 3 times already. I don't know if we can keep using that same one. I don't know if it's legal anymore.
Once a week is probably fine.
Probably. Karma and Olaf, though, will be the answer. Olaf hasn't seen a lot of play recently, but still a pretty viable jungle pick, pretty strong. Just doesn't have the same sort of early damage and invade potential that a lot of junglers have been looking for of late. I like the Lulu pick if they do choose to lock this in, and Nautilus as well. These are just some really solid string 1 champions in their respective roles so far from Bendhovar. And on the side of practice team, we've got good synergy between their picks, but we're still waiting to see exactly what they're going with some of these solo lanes, perhaps.
They're going to hover the Aurelion Soul. I think we have seen Shrima play it before. He's a pretty decent DPS mage, but not even close to the same level as, say, a Cassiopeia, but he does have that utility. And, of course, the roam potential with his little flying mice. And they're hovering the Twitch as well. But maybe it won't be.
Yeah, the Twitch or the Ashe actually would give quite a powerful team fight over to the side of
kind of like the Ashe more, but maybe not. Maybe it might Lucian.
Yeah, I like the Ashe as well, actually, because it gives them really good, reliable engage to work with the Karma Olaf composition. Pairing less than a composition, 2 champions do not a composition make, but in the end, it's going to be a Fiora. So a good amount of damage coming out of the top lane to face off against Nautilus. A really, really favorable matchup for Fiora. She does amazingly well into tanks in lane. So if Original Kid is at all proficient on this champion, I imagine top lane is going to go in the favor of practice team. And they're going to be hiding their mid lane picks, wanting to counterpick that one if they are able to.
Absolutely. Just what Comics does to kind of survive the lane. It is a Nautilus. He doesn't need to win the lane. He just needs to survive it and get decently tanky.
Yeah, to some degree, there's truth to that. And they've got good utility already as well, just between Nautilus and Lulu. So
it's enough CC for
I don't know.
Team.
I am just a little bit worried about this top lane matchup. The Fiora does incredibly well into tanks and is going to outscale as well in terms of split pushing pressure. But Orianna, a very safe pick, coming back to the mid lane here, and Lucian, pretty strong into some of these more immobile, less dual-centric AD carries like in Ashe. Ashe, though, will outrange him in lane, so there's that to consider as well. We'll see what the final pick is, the potential counter pick into this Orianna.
It is what we need. Shreeman might play Azir, might play Cassiopeia. Both are on the table. Of course, Azir has been repeatedly beaten into the ground by Riot.
The traditional counter pick here to Orianna, at least traditional in terms of season 7, would be a Syndra, but that has been banned out. So that might be the reason why Shurima is pausing a bit on this pick. Some other pretty solid picks, people like Echo into Orianna. If it's a competent Echo, it's a decent matchup. You theoretically could go Azir. Does outrange her, yeah. Azir has seen something of a renaissance recently. A few Azir players have been trying to bring him back. He's nowhere near the previous power level that he's been at in the past. But yeah, still a very high DPS pick. That is something that I can say overall for team practice or practice teams or whichever orientation those two words are in. Their composition is incredibly high, consistent damage, but their main issue, I think, is going to be getting engages, which is something strange to say of a team with an Ashe, but they really don't have anything else outside of that, unless Shurima can make it in for a really good Emperor's Divide.
Absolutely, the shuffle can maybe decide some pretty decent fights here. We'll have to see what they do with that. Looks like both teams are in position. They are in LCS order, which is convenient for us. And we are about to enter our 3-minute delay.
All right. Well, give us.
Yeah. On that note,
go right ahead.
We're going to enter our 3-minute delay. We're going to enter our little commercial breaks, and we'll be back as soon as we're on the Rift, so don't go anywhere, folks.
I was not ready to falling like I'm wasting wasted. My heart grows heavy. Don't taste me rushing and keep your words naked. You got me blushing. And if forever I'll follow, you'll be my holy ground. You forever I'll follow in immortality. I can see you and me in immortality. I can see you left me crying and running through a ghost town, alone and stranded. Why leave me hoping and guessing for the answers? No place stays forbidden. And you forever I'll follow. You'll be my holy ground. You forever I'll follow in immortality. I can see you and me in immortality. I can see my mind faded, my body wasted. What we created must have been fated. Just promise me immortality. I can see you and me in immortality. I can see you and me. If I just mistake what
And it may be a bit of a liberal usage of the word "we" effect because I'm not onto the Rift myself yet. So you're going to be carrying the cast for the first few minutes, it seems, because my client is not cooperating with me. I apologize. I am seeing a loading screen at the moment, so that's at least better than the alternative. So hopefully I'll be into the match very shortly. Give me just a moment here to see if I can fix this up. Oh, I hear sounds. I'm still looking at a loading screen, but I hear sounds, and that is an improvement. Yeah, give us yeah, baby steps indeed. But hopefully I'll be able to actually watch the match, as I am excited to, and I know there are at least a few people out there as well who are excited to see this match, because Bendovar Gaming are, as I mentioned in the draft, a returning team here at Reverie, and a frequently returning team at that. They've taken home a few finals before, been beaten out a few times as well by some of our other regulars. And watching their progression through quarters, semis, and potentially through into finals is going to be interesting for sure.
Minions have spawned.
All right. My client seems to have crashed, so I'm going to restart that real quick. You keep the masses entertained effect. I'll be back on the broadcast shortly. I am seeing action right now just to ensure that we are on the same page. It's 2:10 on the clock, and we've got trading in the bottom lane. Is that right? 13. Cool. All right, we are on the same time. We are in the same game, and we are ready to get going. So let's get this cast on the road. Apologies for the delays getting in, folks, but we are all fine and dandy. We're only 2.5 minutes into the match, and really the first 2.5 minutes, not really much seems to have happened. So both junglers starting off with their Raptor camps, going for the highest XP clears, it seems, and potentially ending up on opposite sides of the map from one another. At most, yes. If there is chat in the all chat, I'm not sure. Hopefully the game is civil. That is the ideal. But we've got Olaf coming down to the bottom lane as we have action already breaking out. Loli, Janna, and Jaden willing to keep this fight going, even though they are on the losing end of it. If only they've got Pathetic Parrot coming in from the side, and that is 2 flashes and a heal burned. 3 summoners for Olaf's time. This Pathetic Parrot still hangs out in the bottom lane a little bit longer, dropping some vision. And as you say, Shurima getting traded out. And this is one of the reasons why you don't see Azir too terribly often anymore. He was incredibly oppressive a good few patches, even a good few seasons ago at this point, because his laning was just a little bit too strong. But since then, it's been taken down quite a few pegs, and he's no longer the laning monster he used to be. Yeah, the main problem with Azir is that when he's really good at everything. He doesn't really have a single glaring weakness, but that also is a problem for when he's too weak. He's kind of too weak at everything as well. He's in a binary state of balance, which is never really that good. A similar state of something like a Lee Sin. A Master Yi. But a flash over the wall from dominating as wherever Pathetic Parrot goes, summoners seem to follow. Yeah, he's been stealing away camps as best he can, getting, actually right now, the benefit of an enemy Raptor camp, perhaps, though he's getting flanked on at the moment. And has to keep an eye out for Shurima. There's the soldier dashing forwards. Pathetic Parrot continuing the chase. There's the roam from the top lane, though. Comics joining the fray. Pathetic Parrot going low, and he does not have the flash. He is ghosting it up this game, so that is not an option for him to get over the wall, and he will go down. Meanwhile, the bottom lane continues to shove out. The summoner disadvantage taking its toll as Kahuna and Donger Salesman get chased away. A lot of damage onto Kashuna there at the end of that trade, as Jaden backs away about equivalently low. Yeah, I mean, the trade was just fine. It's just they are kind of behind on that trade because they don't have a heal and they don't have some flashes. So they're going to keep getting shoved in here. To be fair, though, Loli is missing his mana, and that's an opening. Jaden burning the heal, but the ignite is still ticking. One more tick is all it took. And TikTok, his clock is gone. Donger Salesman cleans it. It was Dongers. He was selling Dongers. It's pretty self-explanatory. Not sure what they are, but it does a little bit. But, you know, he was very aggressive about his sales methods, and in the end, he does manage to get himself a nice little paycheck. 300 gold in his pocket. I don't think people call murder aggressive marketing, but unless they're psychopaths, then maybe they do. That's probably true, yes. Oh yeah, and definitively so actually. One of the places I'm most surprised that they have quite a lead is up in this top lane, where Fiora gets the better matchup usually into most tanks. And to be fair, Original Kid is going to scale, especially post 6, much harder than Comics will. So still has that to look forward to. But the laning phase has been kind to Nautilus, who's got a 10 CS lead and has kept the lane shoved up pretty much consistently. Oh, that is unfortunate. Hopefully Effect will be back with us very shortly. But in the meantime, I'll keep the cast rolling. Yeah, we've got Bendavar Gaming with a bit of a lead, and in some surprising ways, for sure. But we'll see whether or not they can hold on to it.
How about now? Can you guys hear me now? Testing.
I've heard you the whole time, so I can't answer that question for you, Effect. I'm sorry.
Obviously.
Nice, clean Lucian combo there. Interrupting the animation of his double tap with the Piercing Light. Got as much damage as he could onto Jaden in that short little window. In the meantime, trading across the rest of the lanes as well. Pretty quiet on the Rift for now, but some control being pushed in the bottom lane by the side of Bendavar Gaming as they look to invade deep into the enemy jungle, steal away a blue buff. Original Kid, now post level 6, is trying his hand at a trade here with Comics and is coming out on top. This is the Fiora lane that I anticipated seeing. And Nautilus gets bullied back.
It looks like they can hear me now, which is excellent. Original Kid getting some very aggressive trades there.
Yeah, and this is the lane that I anticipated seeing out of the Fiora, and maybe Original Kid just hasn't been confident enough on this pick, because we haven't seen him go aggressive at all until just then, and the instant he decides to, it works out really nicely. So I'd like to see some more aggressive Fiora play topside. Provided, of course, he keeps enough vision down so that the possibility of Cheney flanking around isn't a deadly one.
Absolutely.
But for now, he's got that ward in the river, and that should be good enough.
And Dominate's sitting at a very low HP total. He almost has Flash, but...
And even lower HP total as Shurima lands some good damage. Pathetic Parrot coming around from the side. There's the undertow. It connects, and Dominating is down. Meanwhile, topside, though, Original Kid looking to fire back as well. Comics with the ulti on him. There's the stun onto Cheney. Beautifully done. Reposting Comics' CC back onto his jungler. But it doesn't matter in the end. Cheney gets the kill, and I don't know if Pathetic Parrot can chase these down. The undertow lands onto both, but he's got to choose one target or the other. In the end, it will be Cheney. The toss towards Comics does not connect. But here comes Shurima from the side. A few more soldiers. Summit is all he's going to need. But the hook lands. He gets pulled back, but not quite under turret range. Unfortunate for Comics. And one more love tap off of the Emperor's staff is all it took.
And with that, Team Practice evens up the kill score and almost the gold score.
Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, we've got even more action, though. Loli Jana going to be snaring up Kashuna as he flashes away at the last second from the crystalline arrow. So, very unfortunate for Jaden as now the Ignite comes down, but there's a teleport flanking in behind Donger Salesman and Kashuna. They have to back away. Original Kid TPing in is going to tumble forwards, but not find a mark.
That was very well predicted by Kashuna, able to flash away basically at point-blank range. He read that so well.
And really, really small margin of error for that flash as well, because he had just come out of the tether from Karma and literally was pixels away from being hit by the Ashe ulti. So didn't have very much time to execute on that and was clean and cool with it nonetheless. Original Kid now trying to get back up to top lane in time to catch the wave. He's going to lose a lot of time walking all the way across the map.
Absolutely, and takes a decent chunk of damage from Dominating because he doesn't have anything in the way of magic resistance just yet. Though we probably will see him build something.
Yeah, if anything, a Hex Drinker, though likely not as a first item. Ravenous Hydra is just so valuable on Fiora, gives her wave clear, more sustain. Damage, of course. Split pushing capabilities, which all of that sort of leads into.
Absolutely.
Just is the perfectly built Fiora item, really.
Absolutely. With Stat Stinger, Shurima is actually getting some very nice trades on the Dominating now. Looking to possibly zone him out on that Orianna.
Pardon me. Still getting over the tail end of a cold. Dominating, getting chased away by Shurima, and this lane is starting to fall in favor of the Empire, it seems. But we've got potential action in the bottom lane. A slow into Kashuna. He's got relentless retreat, though, so he'll be able to get away.
Some wards going on.
Janna is really pressing his luck here with this pink ward as the culling comes through, but it looks like he'll be okay. And there's Pathetic Parrot from the side. Ragnarok pops. The target is Kashuna, but the ulti lands onto Cheney, splitting their focus a little bit. Wild Growth is going to buy some more time for this Lucy, and Pathetic Parrot gets turned into a Pathetic Cupcake, but in the end, there's still the kill claimed going over to Ashe. Donger Salesman neatly dodges the axe tossed his way. A second one doesn't land. I don't know if they can really dive this Lulu any further. Shurima will pay the price. No, barrier keeps him alive. Cheney claims the kill, claims the double. Cheney continuing to chase now after the support as Jaden Park tries to claim a few low health members of the enemy team, but the Ignite comes down, and oh my god, it's a bloodbath in the bottom lane.
Dominating and Chaining take a losing situation and completely reverses it on its head.
Such a overcommitment from practice team. Diving that secondary turret was entirely unnecessary. They had taken 2 kills cleanly. They could back up, take first brick, get more global gold, play just calmer, really, and they would have been just fine, but they pushed their luck.
They didn't like Donger Salesman sales practice, so they wanted to, they wanted the blood.
I mean, really well played as well by the side of Bendovar Gaming, particularly Donger Salesman dodging away those axes. But in the end, it is still a lead over to Bendovar Gaming as they get dove bottom side, and it's a small lead, kind they've had the whole game. But we kind of equalized, returned back to equal footing on the map, and now there might be a fight breaking around Dragon Pit.
Absolutely. Shreema trying to defend that ward, but it looks like Donger Salesman really wants it. He's going to go for it again.
He's in some trouble here, though. There's a Karma coming out from the bottom and an Olaf from the top. He's a quick guy. He manages to dodge another axe there, and he'll be just fine. Okay.
Very well played. Seeing the axe and dodging it.
Undertow not going to be connecting with Lulu this game, it seems. As Cheney now hanging around the bottom side. Neither of these teams wanting to give the enemies an opening to go for Dragon, even if neither of them are quite ready to go for it themselves. And that's the mark of a pretty even game in the early game. Kashuna dashing forwards. Doesn't actually get all that favorable of a trade with Jaden, thanks to some well-timed shielding from lowly Janna.
Absolutely. He's doing a really nice job negating pretty much all of that damage. Jaden Park taking next to nothing.
And vision control seems to be sort of in favor of Bendovar Gaming near the Dragon. You can see there is that one ward in the Pixel Brush and a pink ward in the river, but aside from that, there's much more deep warding from Bendovar, and even just 15 minutes into the game, those deep wards become so incredibly important. But Olaf is here to maybe try and clean out some of that control. We'll see whether or not that's the case. You know, the interesting thing is there was no ward actually directly on the Dragon Pit from Bendovar, so I thought maybe Pathetic Parrot was starting the Dragon off right there, but no, I think he's just going for the crab.
That is what it looks like, pretty much. Obviously, the direct camera doesn't quite want to go there. It's not quite as exciting as the spot lane.
No, crabs are incredibly exciting. Dominating might be a little far up here, though. Like, they knew that Olaf was around the corner, but here's Cheney from the top side. However, Pathetic Parrot is coming in. Dominating is already incredibly low, and there's the kill, yeah. They may yet be able to chase down onto Cheney as well. There is a red buff on Pathetic Parrot, but Pathetic Parrot is melting as Comics comes into the fight, and Fiora is nowhere to be seen. Original Kid hanging out in the top lane did not follow down into the fight. Even had he, probably wouldn't have arrived in time. And Comics showing up turns that around for Bendovar Gaming once again. Absolutely. I still feel like Dominating was way too far up that mid lane with the knowledge they had of where Olaf was. But still works out pretty well for them.
Yeah, he ended up paying for that slight mistake and he shuffled right into it. Hello.
Point blank ulti onto Kashuna. Doesn't last very long if it doesn't fly very far. And Kashuna dashing forward, but there's a lot left in the tank. There's the heal and the shields. Slow onto Kashuna as he's trying to back away. Flash forward from Donger Salesman, and there's the full combo. Donger gets the kill, the Ignite paying off once again. This has been a highly bloodthirsty and aggressive Lulu, and a flash away from lowly Janna for good measure.
Nice recovery by the bot side of BDG. Coming out ahead pretty much. Donger Salesman playing once again with those aggressive sales tactics.
Yeah, and a really well-considered and executed fight as well. Like, this has been some relatively messy League of Legends overall. Honestly, mistakes on both sides, and that's characterized by the fact that there's 16 kills at 16 minutes. That's quite a rapid pace for a game at even the high amateur level scene. But nonetheless, it has fallen Bendovar more often than not, and particularly it's fallen towards Cheney more often than not, who has a 20 CS lead and is sitting 5-1 right now.
Absolutely. It's always been reversals. Like, it looks like BDG's losing, but then they just reverse it, everything on its head, and end up coming ahead. Usually 2-1 kills.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that practice team, maybe because of the fact that they're a practice team and they don't have the same level of familiarity with one another, or maybe just due to lower skill level across the player base, I'm not sure. But one way or another, practice team don't seem as cohesive. They don't seem to be as well aware of their limits in some of these fights, and we've seen that a few times, most egregiously, of course, in that first tower dive on the secondary turret bottom lane.
Comics has that Sunfire, so it's going to give him a bit more resistance dealing with Kid. The Kid has the Hydra, so he'll quickly deal with any damage that is dealt to him by Comics.
Yeah, and theoretically, this lane should now be incredibly easy for the Fiora, but, I mean, Original Kid doesn't necessarily even need to pick a fight with Comics here. I'm not entirely sure why he was going for that, but in the end, he does make it out. Nicely timed riposte, gets him away. But, yeah, there wasn't very good vision control. They didn't know where Graves was. They had not seen him recently, by any means, and Comics was way far up the lane. Like, there was no wave to fight over. There was no incentive for that fight. I'm not entirely sure why Original Kid went for it. In the end, though, does manage to make it out alive, at the cost of a turret, and that will be first brick to Bendovar, and they may continue this shove. As, speaking of Bendovar, their AD carry is getting stunned up down the bottom side. Original Kid chasing Comics back. It looks like the secondary turret won't be on the menu. But meanwhile, with knowledge of where Graves is, Pathetic Parrot will start off a dragon.
They do know the dragon is started. There is a board right there. But there's not much way in the contest because Cheney is up in the north.
Yeah, Kushina and Donger still been playing aggressively here, though. They know that there's no Ashe ulti. Pathetic Parrot may be able to make the engage happen with or without it, though. Yeah, Donger Salesman is down. As Kushina dashes face first into the wall, he doesn't make it over. Dominating, getting chased backwards as well. A lot of strength there for Shurima in the limit lane, but a flash forward from Dominating. He still goes down in the end, 1v1. And Kushina will be chased out.
Absolutely. In terms of skill, it feels like Shurima has the upper hand currently in this mid lane. And Barrier coming more in handy than that Ignite.
Oh no, Original Kid. There is more than enough tankiness on Comics to continue this dive. And Cheney was there to provide the damage. I mean, there was no danger of a dive if it's just the Nautilus, but if it's Nautilus Graves, that's a much different story.
Absolutely. It's a 5-1 and 3 Graves as well, so that's just even more terrifying. I'm actually really surprised that that hook hit.
2 turrets are being traded back potentially here for that 1 secondary, but actually Shurima I don't think able to take this down yet. Ooh, Donger Salesman needs to respect that Azir a bit more. Donger Salesman needs to respect that Azir a bit more. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Shurima not able to finish the kill. Donger Salesman gets it. The power of cupcakes.
Donger Salesman, once again, the super aggressive sales tactics causes Shurima to go into a rage.
Oh, man. I mean, that time it was just a perfect bait. The guy is a master Lulu, it seems. He's done a very, very good job this game so far. And that turret will live a little bit longer, which is actually a really big deal. That extends the gold lead, the global gold lead particularly, even further for Bendovar.
Absolutely. That was, the silence was just so perfect. Shurima dived onto the turret, got 1 hit in, and then obviously was silenced for the 3-4 seconds there. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, Lulu's polymorph, a very, very powerful tool. But one way or another, what's past is past, what's done is done. Shurima, though, is still going to scale, is still going to be strong. And I wouldn't count Team Practice or Practice Team, whichever way it is, out of this one yet. But they've got their work cut out for them now coming back into this match.
Absolutely.
And we may have a dive in the bottom lane. Looks like we have a dive in the bottom lane. Yeah, Cheney going for that red buff auto. There's the flash forward, followed by a flash from Jaden Park. Meanwhile, top lane things are happening apparently. Directed camera. Yeah, well, the Ashe got out, so it's okay. Turret falls, though, and Bendavar continue to extend their gold lead. Original Kid now going for the potential dive. That could be a little bit too far. I think just chasing Comics back is fine, but Comics is not going to be chased back nearly so easily. And Original Kid will have to back out.
Absolutely. The massive amount of armor and health that Comics is buying is giving him a lot of cushion space on that true damage.
Yeah, and Original Kid just hasn't had the time to scale up yet.
Of course, looks like Original Kid is going for that Black Cleavage. That should make it significantly easier to deal with the armor stacking.
Kashuna taking a big chunk of damage there from some soldiers flying his way. And they've got the late game scaling potential with a Fiora and a Azir. But I'm just, as I said in the draft, really worried about practice teams' abilities to take favorable fights, especially given that they don't have the expected strength coming out of the top lane. Fiora gets out wave cleared in the first like 3-4 levels of the lane, maybe even up to level 6. But after that, after she comes back with her first buy, she should be able to then handle the Nautilus. Like, even if you don't do a lot of damage, he's not going to be able to damage you, theoretically, and you can just lifesteal. But Dominating is going to be pulling Pathetic Parrot back with that ulti. There's Ragnarok burn defensively. After Dominating has to burn the Zonias earlier on. And some cooldowns traded back and forth.
Sorry, I had to sneeze there. I had to mute my mic for a second. But, interesting fight where nobody dies. Though it looks like this turret is finally going to go down. Good news for Shreema, he can't die to that turret anymore.
Yeah, and I like Team Practice's decision to group in the mid lane to capitalize on that earlier damage on the turret and take that standing gold. But there's not going to be a lot of easy objectives for them from here on out. This outer top lane turret could go down pretty easily, though, if they can get there in time. It doesn't look like Bendavar Gaming has anybody to field for this, but they're going to be trading at the very least for a mid lane outer, and they are way ahead on the wave here, going on to that secondary mid lane turret before this outer one has even been started.
Oh yeah, they have a huge advantage, especially with it's Cheney and Kushina working on the turret.
2 turrets before one's even down below half. Bendavar might be able to take an inhib turret off this. They're working it down pretty low. It's down below half. Yeah, they've got 2 AD carries here. Oh, well, it survives with about 1,000 hit points. Pathetic Parrot now going for the engage. He does not have enough tankiness to survive this front line, though. He's getting chased backwards. The Rune King to slow him up. There's the finish from Kashuna. Original Kid is just tissue paper at the moment. He has not had enough time to scale up, and he will go down. Azir gets the solo kill onto Comics top lane, but it's a small consolation prize, as surely this inhibitor turret will fall.
Absolutely.
And possibly even the inhibitor past it. No, they're not going to push that far.
Fully intentional sacrifice by Comics. He was keeping Shreema locked up, and Shreema is probably the most dangerous member of Team Practice right now.
And he even almost handled the 1v1. I mean, Shreema got out of there with a few after getting the kill, so that is an incredibly powerful Nautilus at the moment. Comics is a powerhouse of a tank right now.
Absolutely. And Cheney's only getting stronger. He has the Ghost Blade and the Black Cleaver finish, probably working on what I imagine to be a Maw next.
Yeah, seems likely. Very powerful into the Azir that's starting to scale up a bit. Baron is likely not a realistic option. They're just going to go for some vision control here. As Dragon has respawned, it's an Ocean Drake once again. Let's see whether or not the teams prioritize that. At the moment, it seems like the top side is more interesting to these guys. As Dominating gets caught up by the Ashe Arrow, there is a very dead Orianna.
Very nice catch. Shreema managed to get the slow, and Jaden Park got the easy arrow.
A little bit too far up on this Orianna a few times, both in laning phase and now here in the mid game towards some of these team fights. Baron down below half health, but this is a very dangerous objective to take this early on. Lolijana hooked back. Parrot is just melting as he tries desperately to be the tank that his team needs, but it looks like it might have been enough. They do claim one onto the Nautilus. Cheney is dominating, though, turning that back around. Fiora down, and just compare these health bars right now. Kashuna dashing forwards. Shreema goes down for the double over to Graves. Jaden Park now trying to carry his team to victory here, but it's a triple to the Graves. Maybe a quadra. No, the end of the line doesn't land, but they're going to keep the chase going. There is the quadra kill. Can he get the penta? He's walking towards Olaf, but no, the Viking is too far. Nicely done, though, still.
Very nice cleanup by BDG, taking advantage of their gold lead, especially with the power that Cheney provides. And they're going for the...
3-man Baron. potentially. They've got Oriana coming in from the side. There's a lot of shielding here, I suppose, between Lulu and Ori. Cheney, you don't want to stand behind the Baron. You're going to get spiked. You're going to get spiked that way, buddy. This is really, really brave because this thing is not dying very quickly.
No, not at all. Cheney is taking a lot of damage despite the shield. And this could be an easy clean for Parrot, possibly. There's the Ghost.
He's coming in from around the corner. Cheney is incredibly low already, but Pathetic Parrot is not choosing his target. He walked around in a circle before auto-attacking anyone.
Oh my.
Parrot, no! I don't think he expected anyone to be there. I think he was just trying to get some vision back, get some vision control while presumably the enemy team wasn't going to be around Baron. And then the whole enemy team, well, what remained of them was there doing Baron.
That was
and it caught him as much off guard as it did us.
That's a very interesting turn of events. I thought he was going to kill somebody, but ended up he just like, hi guys! And they didn't appreciate the wave.
Well, Bendovar is going to be able to snag themselves an Ocean Drake to even that score up. And I got to give props to Comics, casting our minds back to the fight that happened around the Baron Pit, and not the lack of a fight. He did such a great job, even though he went down, and he was the first of his team to go down. He did such a great job of absorbing so many cooldowns in doing so, so much damage, that his team was able to easily clean up. Like, by the time he had died, pretty much every single member of the enemy team had dropped to a third or less health, and no one in his team had even been wounded. So,
absolutely,
a tank job well done. Original Kid cannot handle the 1v1 with the enemy he carried. In the end, not really a 1v1. Comics is there, but I think Lucian might have won that anyways.
That was the impression I was getting. Original Kid having a very difficult time keeping ahead here. Oh.
Stun onto Dominating. Once again, a catch onto the Oriana. Shurima going to be dashing in and pulling the flash. There's the shockwave onto Shurima, though, and if they can bring this huge. Cheney is legendary and well-deserved. Dominating going into the zone. He has buys some time. Pathetic Parrot continuing the chase, though. Gets some more good damage down onto Cheney. Dominating will eventually fall, but Cheney flashing forwards. The legendary Graves doing the work that he needs to do to make this fight work. Dash forwards, the few more buckshot, but in the end it will be a shutdown going over to Ash. A double kill, a triple kill. Kashuna shuts him down, though, and keeps the chase onto Liliana. And that's the end of the fight.
That was a bit of a topsy-turvy fight. Very back and forth. But both teams come about even there 3 for 3. Though, to be fair, they did pick up Original Kid in the bot lane, so there's still BDG coming out ahead. And there's a turret as well, though it was just a 0 turret, to be fair.
And Bendovar looking in a great position to finish this one out. Maybe we could see a little bit less of a messy game of League over the next 5 minutes and a cleaner finish. But one way or another, Bendovar seemed perfectly happy with this chaotic style. And once again, we might see some fights break out around the Baron Pit, as it's still there. It's still on the Rift. Some of these fights have been breaking up for almost no reason. That fight in the mid lane was just because Dominating was a little too far up, and then Shurima overextended trying to catch him. There wasn't much of an objective they were fighting over, to any degree.
It's certainly been a very loose game of League of Legends.
Entertaining, though, for sure.
Absolutely.
Liliana going a bit deep for some vision control. There's the shockwave onto 2. Ash Arrow lands onto Cheney. That's a good... There's very little follow-up. Some damage from Shurima, and that's all. Teleport from Comics, just in case, and the fight will break off. Some pretty important cooldowns on both sides. But Baron is getting started by Bendovar. Meanwhile, though, there is a split pushing Fiora. No teleport available right now from Original Kid, though. I think he burned it getting to the bottom lane, so there's no way they take this fight. Yeah, they're just going to try and push some towers instead on the side of Practice.
They are backing while Shani looks for a possible flank. There is the turret, though.
Baron traded for 2 secondary turrets. I don't know if I can really call that worth it for the side of Practice team, but they do at least get something fairly significant out of it. And we'll see how much this Baron does for Bendovar, because if they're able to then take this Baron and translate it into bringing down the open inhib in mid lane, perhaps, then it's definitely not worth it for Practice team. But if Practice team are able to now hold off this push, may have been okay.
Absolutely. And with that inhibitor being open, it's basically going to be free. And if they get one good team fight where they have basically Cheney and Kashuna alive, that could be the end of the game.
It's going to have to be something of a miracle for them to prevent this inhibitor from going down.
And by a miracle,
fight. This is a very aggressive push. Shurima still not coming back to the fight. There he is. He's channeling the base now as his team is falling around his Nexus turrets. There's the ulti onto Jaden Park. It's too little, way too late. Nexus turrets are falling. This is Bendavar Gaming advancing.
And this is pretty much game unless Shurima gets the world's most amazing Shurima shuffle.
I mean, Lucian gets tossed back onto the fountain, and that's flashy and all that, but they've got another AD carry beating away at this. Yeah, there we go. Nexus down.
And it's going to be BDG moving on to the finals. Very messy game overall. The game ended.
The spectator quiet. Oh, you got that too.
Game over.
Oh, no, it's not over yet. The game ended without a result. It will now exit. Oh man, no. In the end, that's going to be Bendavar moving on to the finals, and I believe our other semifinals are done, so we can head right into the finals. Though, don't quote me on that. They may still be duking it out.
Let me take a look. It is going to be Life for Ire facing off against Bendover Gaming. So we'll be taking a small, tiny break, and as soon as we're in Champions Select, we'll be right back. So do not go anywhere, folks.
Inside the book that I wrote, all the words that we spoke, yet only with our eyes. Now is the time to choose. Somebody wins and some lose. I can see through your disguise. Lay it down, hope for something better. Looking at the clouds, the sliver in the weather. You can't keep this up. The lies are just too much. Kick back, start another fire. Looking at the clouds, making shapes that you admire. And you can't stop it now, 'cause you don't know how.
Get down to the baseline.
And here we are. We have returned for the League of Legends Reverie Esports Open at number 88. Finals between Life for Ire and Bandhova Gaming, which I think I pronounced it right.
And quite a fun one's going to be. LFA and Bendovar are two regulars here at Reverie Esports over the last few months and have performed well, both of them, on our weekly tournaments as well as our monthly tournaments occasionally. So whoever does win here gets a free buy-in to that monthly tournament, which I believe will be happening tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that is correct. Let me double check.
Okay.
Calendar? Yes, tomorrow. I'm glad
you're follow button.
I'm glad you reminded me because I kind of forgot.
Tap that follow button and don't be like Effect. Don't forget, tomorrow we're going to be going live with our monthly buy-in tournament where the best that we have to offer here at Reverie compete off against one another. So hopefully we've got a few interests peaked for that. Graves, Ivern, and Rengar, tons of jungle focus against Cheney here, and bit more variegated bans on the side of Bendovar, who are going to be banning out some picks towards Bloodbath. Ilaoi and Darius both Bloodbath specials.
Absolutely. Bloodbath loves those tanky bruiser top laners that can just do tons of kind of bullyish damage in that top side.
Yep. Lulu first pick, though, makes a lot of sense. Lulu incredibly powerful at the moment. I like the Caitlyn pick, actually, in response, because I was about to say Lulu very powerful with a lot of auto-attack-centric laners and something like a Caitlyn. But it is just a hover and may not be a pick yet as they swap to potentially Cho'Gath. Very interesting. But never talk hovers. That is the first rule of casting, because really it can never turn out well for you. So I would like a Caitlyn pick away here, just to go into that again. As well as maybe a jungle pick, because there seems to be a lot of jungle priority here.
It is going to be the least jungle for Cheney, since Ivern, Rengar, and Graves are all taken away from him. Uh-oh, my mic seems to have gone out. Or my headset's gone out, one of the two. Hold on.
Oh, no, that's unfortunate. Oh, well, I'll keep the broadcast going. Hopefully you can hear Effect, but if you can't, then you're missing out. I promise. The guy's a great color caster alongside me. But
okay,
Gragas,
I can hear things again. Awesome.
Hey, nice. Gragas would be a great pick here, I think. Gives them some good tankiness early on in their composition. Allows them to pick a carry top as well for Bloodbath, which could be really, really good. The guy is very, very strong in lane and capable of carrying out of that position. So going with a tankier jungle, I think, makes a lot of sense for Life for Ire. And maybe the new Galio, it will be the new Galio locked in. All right, this is exciting, exciting stuff. Galio and Lulu on the same team means it's going to be very difficult to dive to the back line.
Absolutely. We're also seeing the ever awesome. Oh, he's been so long since I've completely forgotten Gragas' name for a second.
It's on your screen. It's right there. It's Gragas. It's next to the picture of the man with the big mustache. It's orange. Oh, effect. I do so love casting with you.
I'm getting old. I'm going to blame that.
How old are you even? What, your late 20s maybe at most?
Late 20s, yeah.
You're not getting old. You've got at least 3 more years.
It's going to be... Don't remind me.
Crossing right over that. Oh, man. You get a lot longer than that, trust me, in fact. Anyways, we see the new Galio on the ramp. This is exciting. It's the first time I've casted the champion.
I've only seen a couple of videos of him. He looks so fun.
Mm-hmm. Very, very powerful as a CC tank and actually really, really good into other tank matchups. So presumably this is going to be a Galio top, though I don't want to make that assumption quite yet. He's still a very new champion. We've actually seen him in the jungle before in higher level play, so maybe Gragas in lane instead. But presumably a Galio top, and I actually really like the pick into Nautilus. His wave clear may not be quite as good, though it's not that bad. The main thing, though, is Winds of War. His W does such good damage up against enemy tanks if he can keep them crowd controlled inside of it. That's the big thing. He does this sort of sweeping attack that's similar to the way that Aatrox has an attack that's 2 lines that converge, except it's more like 2 Diana Qs that fly out in 2 directions and then meet at the end. And then they leave behind a sort of howling gust of wind thing. And if the enemy champion stands in that, they take percentage magic damage. Pretty hefty percentage magic damage over time. And it's really, really good at busting tanks.
And it's going to be the Ezreal and the Victor locked in. We haven't seen Victor in a bit, but he is something pretty kind of a control special. We've seen him play that quite a bit. And he's pretty much the standard mid-range mage.
Yep.
And now we need a mid-lane pick for dominating. He was able to secure that as last. Might see the return of the Orianna.
Into the Victor, Syndra is pretty decent as well. Zed was banned out against him in the semis, so perhaps dominating is very familiar in this champion, and indeed it will be the pick. So Zed into Victor can do well. That's a much more of a skill matchup than the Syndra would have been, because if Zed never gets the opportunity, never makes a pick, never finds a good fight with Victor, then he's never going to get the snowball rolling, and he will just be consigned to the melee versus ranged lane the whole time. Though that snowball can get rolling through roams as well. But yeah, we've got both compositions fully locked in. Here we have an opportunity to see the new Galio on the Rift. We've got a really highly defensive composition from the side of LFA, which is exciting to some degree. Not something we see too often from them. Usually we see much more aggressive picks. And a Zed as well. So that's exciting too.
I haven't seen Zed in a very long time. I'm not actually ever seen him at Reverie. And I'm a little worried that if he can't get rolling, though, he's going to be struggling to kill anyone in the late game, because control can buy the Zanyas, and Ezreal is extremely slippery, and even if he really needs to, he can go the blue build with the Iceborn.
You look across that composition and you see the insane amount of disengage they've got. Like, they've got Wild Growth, they've got Explosive Cask, and they've got Hero's Entrance. 3 hugely impactful ultis, all of which can be used almost instantaneously for peeling away this Zed. So very, very difficult, I think, for dominating to find his foothold in this game. And a lot of the game is going to be on dominating finding his foothold, particularly in the mid game when Caitlyn's going to be in a bit of a trough and Elise will do some okay damage. But I think dominating's performance is going to dictate the flow of this match to a larger or smaller degree. However, we've got about 2 minutes of the spectator delay to get through, so I'm going to toss it back to you, Effect.
We are entering our small, tiny commercial break, and once we're on the Rift, we'll be right back, so do not go anywhere, folks. And here we are on to the Rift, though we are a little bit of a dark moment, I guess. None of the players have been quite summoned just yet.
All was quiet on the Rift. Oh, it's not quiet anymore. I was going to wax poetic, I swear. But that is a great Galio skin.
That is amazing.
Anyways. We've got the finals here for Reverie Open number 88. And it's going to be an exciting one. Life for Ire on the red side here, and Bendivar Gaming on the... No, pardon me. Bendivar Gaming on the red side and Life for Ire on the blue. And we are going to get into it very shortly.
Very aggressive by Life for Ire.
They've got the Nautilus and even potentially the Elise, though starting E in the jungle is really bad. So I doubt Chain will do that. But it looks like they've been spotted out. At least to some degree. They don't have direct vision on them, but they know...
I don't think they know they've been spotted out either.
Yeah, they don't seem to. However, they're not in all that much danger. I don't think there's going to be any real threat to them coming through. And Ward in the red buff spots out the fact that they were indeed going deeper into the jungle just to spot that themselves. And a Ward in the enemy red buff from Life for Ire is going to keep them informed of where the enemy jungle starts. So, well handled by Life for Ire.
Absolutely. So they're going to get some decent vision. But to be fair, good recovery by both teams, basically warding up the enemy reds. Though Marky Mark and Bloodbath might be trying to steal this red.
This is interesting. This is something that you occasionally see from higher level teams where the jungler and top laner, after they've spotted out an enemy invade, will stick around to try and get a steal. And yeah, there's that percentage damage I was talking about. Comic's going to get chased away by the new Galio. Cheney takes a big chunk of damage, and if Maki Mak can steal away some of these raptors, even just some of the little ones, it's a pretty big deal, and he's taken 2 or 3 at this point. As
Comic's taking a lot of damage there. He is probably going to be forced to back before going to top lane.
Yeah, Winds of War, incredibly powerful in the early levels. A lot of power packed into that one ability, and Maki Mark trying now to steal away even the big raptor, but I don't think he quite got it. Cheney, however, still on level 1. And actually, I'm going to take a moment here to look at the XP bars. Marky Mark just over halfway, and Cheney just under. So a slight advantage for Marky. But Maki Mark. And we'll see where he goes with that.
Yeah, very aggressive by Lifefire. Very typical of what we usually see from them.
Yeah. And I think a really great adaptation to the full invade that the enemies had thrown their way. Nicely done by Life for Ire. As Bloodbath and Beyond continues to show up the lane top lane. I actually really like the Galio into the Nautilus. Interestingly enough, though, Galio was picked earlier in the draft than Comics' Nautilus was, so confident in his tank pick into the Galio. Wilro takes a big chunk of damage from Kashuna on the way out, but Tranamo will keep the fight going.
To be fair, the new Galio is still fairly new, so Comics may not know the strength of it. Control.
Exhaust from Control, but a flash forward from dominating the Ignite down. A few more minion autos flying. Control still burning away. He gets away with less than 10 health.
Very close. He's still kind of sticking around there.
That would be a highly disadvised for him to stick around in this lane. But to be fair, Dominating doesn't have a lot left to throw his way. So Justice Punch for Bloodbath as Comics takes another big chunk of damage. And one of the strengths of the new Galio is doing very well into these tank lanes. There's the flash forward for the taunt. Comics going to be taking the brunt of that passive, and another Winds of War. First blood to Bloodbath's Galio.
Bloodbath must be very excited to have another character he can play aggressively with.
Big chunk onto Wilro. Tranimal getting chased back as well. But Tranimal not so easy to chase back. He's going to do a good amount of damage on the Donger at the end.
Well, there is going to be Comics. He just needs teleport to get back to top lane, make sure he doesn't miss too many minions. But that does get TP advantage to Bloodbath. And Galio looks like a very powerful character on those TP ganks.
And it's going to be really, really tough for Comics to survive this lane, I think, now. Down both summoners and having built actually into a Dark Seal as his next itemization choice. There's some merit in that, for sure. He gets the extra healing out of his potions, but Tranimal getting chased backwards. A little bit too aggressive from Donger Salesman and Kashuna. Kashuna nearly down. The heal comes out. Wilro trying for the Glitter Lance, but it gets flashed away from. Donger Salesman continuing to back away as Tranimal gets junked pretty low. There's the stun over the wall from Cheney, and Wilro is almost guaranteed dead here, just having to get in range for the Q. Cheney finds it, and Repel gets him to safety.
Very nice gank by Cheney. That was almost well for Life for Ire, but unfortunately Kushuna placed the trap behind Tramo while he was snared up, so it did not snare him.
That was actually intentional. I'm pretty sure. He was placing the trap back there so that he could catch Tranimal when Tranimal kept kiting backwards, but they didn't anticipate Tranimal and Willroad not kiting backwards and taking the fight. But here's Bloodbath continuing to show us why the new Galio is really strong into tanks. Comics chase back.
Absolutely, and that Sheen is going to be doing work. It looks like he's getting some really solid casts in there.
Yeah, as well as that early passive doing a lot of work as well. Colossal Smash is just so very strong. He can basically pick whatever fight he wants with Justice Punch, which has a great name, by the way.
Justice Punch.
Even particularly into a tank that does primarily magic damage, he's even more favored because of that passive, which is a magic damage shield. Every 12 seconds, I believe, of not taking damage, he gets a magic damage shield.
There it is. And his animations just look so smooth. I think Riot did a really good job with him.
Yeah, Galio's identity certainly has changed, though, in terms of playstyle. He's no longer really an anti-mage as much as he is an anti-magic tank. He's sort of an anti-Zac, anti-Nautilus, anti-Maokai. And I kind of like that. Admittedly, there's not a lot of anti-mages left in the game, though, as Viger lost his enemy AP scaling ulti as well a long while back. So that identity is kind of now missing from the Rift, but...
Cassidon, kind of, but he's been kind of lackluster as of late.
I mean, he lost his silence, which is admittedly an anti-mage sort of themed thing as well, to be able to silence an enemy spellcaster. So I don't know if this is on purpose or not, but it seems Riot is continually removing those themes away from the game.
Absolutely.
Somebody on the Riot balance team just really likes to play mages. Maybe it's Riot Magus. I think that's one of the members of the balance team.
Riot Magus? I think so.
Magus. That's what it is. Magus. How did I mispronounce that? I'm not sure. Bendavar Gaming's bottom lane, though, continuing to shove this lane up. Makes a lot of sense. Caitlyn into Ezreal. Pretty classic matchup that Caitlyn does a pretty classic job of winning. That trap placement was beautiful!
Wow. Tranimal getting kind of played there.
That was clever. Kushuna. That was clever on more than one level. Kushuna placed the trap just far enough away so the arcane shift, if he shifted in that direction, would land him on it. And he also placed it behind the turret. And I don't mean as in, like, behind the turret relative to where Kushuna was. I mean behind the physical art for the turret so that you couldn't see it. He just placed another. You actually can't see it from the spectator client's
I can barely see it right there. Wow.
Yeah, so Ezreal literally didn't know there was a trap there because he wasn't paying close enough attention to Kushuna's animations. Didn't see him place it down.
You could barely see it from that angle. That's incredible.
So yeah, really clever from Kushuna.
I've never even
something
thought
we've
of
seen
that.
from something we've seen from Caitlyn's before. I've seen that once or twice in professional games. It's a very cheesy strategy because if the enemy AD carry knows at all what you're doing, they're just not going to step in that one specific spot. But Tranimal stepped in that one specific spot.
I paid the price for it, eating a Piltover Peacemaker right in the face. How are the junglers doing? Marky Mark is significantly ahead of Cheney right now.
In terms of farm, yeah. Has hit the level 6 mark earlier as well, but that's less important for a Elise. But if you just look purely at the gold values, it's actually very similar. Mucky Mug has just completed a few more of his multi-minion jungle camps.
I never consider the huge amount of raptors and golems that have been added for pretty much the same amount of gold. Krugs, golems. Darn it, Riot.
Good reason. I mean, Elise has pretty dang good single targets. They're going after the single target camps, makes a lot of sense. Bloodbath and Beyond, though, continuing to dominate this lane, continuing to keep it shoved up. 20 CS up as well. And I don't know how many times I can really hit on it before I start to become a broken record, but Galio is good into magic damage tanks. That's his whole shtick now.
Absolutely. I'm curious to see what else he builds, because obviously the new Galio is new.
Yeah, synergizes really well with Sheen items. Iceborne and Trinity Force are both good options for him. Even Lichbane, sort of. He's got some good AP ratios, but I like Iceborne the best, probably out of the three. Tranimal chased away there by the ulti, going to fire back. But there's a teleport coming in from Bloodbath, and the taunt will land after he flashes forward to both. Kashuna flashing away. Donger Salesman life is presumably forfeit here, but no, Comics has come into the fight as well. Wilrio trying to back away. There's the hero's advance from Bloodbath, or the hero's arrival, pardon me. Dominating now, roaming in from the mid lane, is going to try and get some good damage onto this Galio. The taunt onto Donger Salesman as Bloodbath turns back around trying to claim a kill out of all this, but Kashuna will claim the kill. It's 1-1 back, though, as Bloodbath finally does get what he was looking for post-mortem. There's a hook onto Maki. Maki gets pulled back in. Cheney will sink his fangs into that kill, but a roam down, matched from the mid laner, as Control looks to take some lives of his own. Kashuna backing away with the net, gets some good burst down. There's a stun onto Control. He regrets joining this fight.
Wilro could be in trouble.
Back. This is great overall, in particular for Comics, who had such a rough lane up until now. And even though one of the kills did go to Bloodbath, he got himself a kill, 3 assists, and maybe even that extra global gold from the first turret going down, providing this does indeed fall. Yeah, it will.
Oh, that's definitely going down. And that is going to be BDG taking a firm lead. Basically an ace there, though it wasn't official due to the short respawn timers. And a dragon as well.
And 3k gold up now. BDG, they were in a game that didn't look so hot for them for a little bit. Admittedly, their bottom lane was doing quite well, and now is doing even better, if any. But Dominating was getting pushed back. There was a top lane lead as well for Bloodbath. Basically, the solo lanes just weren't doing so hot. And now all that's been kind of equalized. 3 assists to Dominating. Sad, actually, the Zed didn't get any kills in that fight. But as I mentioned as well towards the end of it, Comics getting a kill and some assists is really big. Will allow him to build some MR. Absolutely. And we'll see what they do with it next. Just 12 minutes into the match, BDG gets a shot of life.
Dominating actually went hard trying to pick up Tranimal, but Tranimal was like, I'm just going to run away. Tranimal still died, though, despite that. Though it wasn't to... Obviously, it wasn't to Dominating. God, that skin's amazing.
Yes, Bloodbath is going to go for the attempted kill into Donger Salesman here, who is still missing his summoners. And there's the Wild Growth to hold him up. Donger Salesman is likely going down here. There's the passive Colossal Smash from Bloodbath, living up to his name. Justice Punch as well, living up to that. And Kashuna, though, is going to kite back as best he can. Bloodbath has actually only really built MR and health here, but Control from the side puts an end to that fight.
Takes control of things.
Oh, yeah, indeed. I should have gone with that. You can see, this is why Effect is on the bench with me.
Sometimes it can provide valuable insight. Dominating, split between that bottom side, though.
I'm a little worried for Dominating's sake, though. Pardon me, still trying to work through this cold. But I'm a little worried for Dominating's sake. He's had a rough time of it in the last few minutes. And is still sitting back pretty far. Has completed the Yumu, so he's on something of a power spike at the moment. I think over the next few minutes, we have to see Zed have some form of success for him to be a real threat moving forward.
Oh, Marky Mark could be in a lot of trouble.
Here comes the Hero's Advance, though, or Hero's Entrance, pardon me. Bath and Beyond going to be landing the taunt onto Cheney. It'll be Justice Punch onto Comics, but I don't think he can keep this fight going. And Bloodbath will get back under his turret.
Well, 1 for 1 there, about as well as that could have gone.
Yeah, the value of that semi-global from Galio paying big dividends. Pardon me. Certainly more useful than the old Galio ulti would have been there.
Poor old Galio ulti.
And meanwhile...
Idol of Durand, I believe it was called.
Yeah, but now there's Shield of Durand, which is very similar and on a much shorter cooldown. It's the AoE taunt that he has on his W instead of having... Or pardon me, on his E instead of having on his ulti.
Absolutely, and his new ultimate is so much more exciting. And looks awesome.
And it's a great name, too. Hero's Entrance. There's a lot of casting opportunities you can get with that name. Bloodbath playing the front line for his team. As meanwhile, bottom lane, we've got the mid laners a little confused about which lane they're supposed to be in. That's not mid lane, you guys. Bloodbath, though, going to be engaged onto here. Winds of War comes down. Some good damage onto Comics. Tranimal continuing to try and pump some damage in onto that tank, but LFA are not looking the better for this fight.
Things are looking grim for them. They're taking a lot of poke damage. Donger Salesman once again aggressively marketing his poke.
They're able to hold off the shove, though, and in the end, there's not a ton of reliable engage outside of the Nautilus landing.
To be fair, if they do get the hook or a good cocoon, that is the engage they're looking for.
Yeah, and I'd like to see Cheney going for some kind of attempted flank, which seems to be his plan right now. Sealing away some jungle camps, playing on the side of this fight, looking potentially for that cocoon. That's the right call, but in the end, it's just a little bit too difficult to keep this siege going. And they're going to back away and go for vision control and try and find another objective it's a little bit easier to crack.
Absolutely. Looks like Bloodbath and Beyond going for that Spirit Visage. That'll give us more CDR. He hasn't quite finished that. What I imagine is going to be an Iceborne Gauntlet. That just makes the most sense to me.
Possibly. I really don't want to make any assumptions quite yet. Galio's builds are very, very much up in the air. Personally, the Iceborne Gauntlet makes the most sense for sure out of all the Sheen itemizations choices, but we'll see for sure. And Dogger Salesman and Kashuna are now going to try and siege out this top outer turret, but it's going to be just as difficult to take as the mid one was. However, they might have a bit of a better advance onto it. Flash off Wilrow, that's good. That's worth the Nautilus ulti, I'd say.
Absolutely. The depth charge for this flash is a nice even trade. That's going to put Wilrow on a bit of a back foot there.
And there's a flash forward from Dogger Salesman. This is incredibly aggressive play from the Karma, but it might just pay off. No, here's the hero's entrance and Karma's down. Flash forward from Bloodbath. There's a taunt onto Comics. They're going to keep this fight going. Comics has built a good amount of MR up at this point, and he's down. Wow. He does have to flash away from the fight, but they'll be okay for now.
Good.
They won't lose their lives, but it looks like they might lose their turret. Oh no, there's the Gragas from behind! Body slam forwards, Kashuna flashing away from that. Control taking a big chunk as he comes through. The turret aggro is still on him, so he has to back out. Meanwhile, Dominating shoving the bottom side, though, might get some small consolation prize back for his team. Going for the attempted kill into Tranimal here. There's the death mark. The Ignite is ticking, and Dominating will make it out from under the turret easily. Tranimal overestimating his ability to take on the enemy Zed. A folly common to AD carries, it seems.
Absolutely. He is working on Blue Belt, but he does not have anything like an Iceborne Gauntlet, so he is very much on the squishy side of the spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, and Dominating, even if he hasn't sort of popped off yet this game, is still a Zed with a Yumu's at 15 minutes or so. You've got to respect that as an AD carry player. And Dominating himself didn't even seem to really understand his level of burst until he had landed a little bit of poke. He was very hesitant about that dive, but then he landed a Shuriken combo and he was like, oh, I just did half his health. Well, may as well press up. So he went in.
Yeah. It is going to be the second Dragon of the game going over in favor of BDG. They still have a 1k gold lead, but they haven't quite taken this mid turret just yet. It's actually still quite healthy.
It has been difficult for them to break some of these outer turrets in the 4v4, but Dominating split push has worked out for them, so that's going to be evening up the turret score, even if it's all focused in one lane, which has its advantages and disadvantages. But now they've got Caitlyn on a turret, and actually LFA are a little slow to the rotation here. The turret may not go down, thanks in part to Ezreal ulti, but it does take a big chunk. That's progress.
Absolutely. Good shield by Donger Salesman is going to make sure Comics takes pretty much 0 damage from the turret shots that follow.
Yeah, and I mean, Comics can take care of himself as well. The only worrying thing for Comics is the damage coming through from Tranimal at the moment, because he has built full MR, but that's really not going to be that significant, because Ezreal still needs, I think, a bit more time to scale up. He's only got that Mana Immune, doesn't have any Sheen items completed or anything along those lines to pack a bit more punch. So I really like, actually, the position that Bendovar are in at the moment. They've got powerful split push in the form of Zed that can't really be answered that well. Bloodbath has built full MR as well, aside from just a little bit of a nod towards armor in the form of the pieces for his Iceborne. And I don't know how well he's going to do into this 1v1, but it looks like he fancies his chances. No, the attempted taunt does not land. And for those of you perhaps unfamiliar with Galio's kit, he can actually choose to activate his taunt either sooner or later. The longer he holds it, the larger the area gets. And while he's holding that taunt, while he's holding the sort of channel for it, he does walk very slowly. So he's got to position himself well before activating that ability if he wants to get maximum usage out of it.
Absolutely. Not sure he could take that 1v1. That Dominating's looking pretty scary there with that all the nice little AD pieces he has there.
Yeah, he's got more than enough pen right now to shred through Bloodbath's armor, so Bloodbath is going to have to be careful. And Bloodbath is going to be the one they're fielding to answer this Zed because, I mean, obviously Tranimal couldn't handle it. And really the AD carry shouldn't be the first option for that anyways. Potentially Marky Mark could be sent, but then they give up control over Dragons or Barons because they won't have a smite near them. So the Zed split push is actually going to be really difficult to deal with, I think, moving forwards for LFA.
They might eventually send control once he finishes his Zanyas, because that obviously negates a large portion of Zed's ultimate.
Well, the Caitlyn siege continues in the mid lane, the Zed split push continues in the top lane, and I think we may be in for the long haul here as just breaking the 20-minute mark. There's only a small gold lead, a Sean Connery gold lead, a small one, over the side of Vendovar. But Bloodbath, I mean, he does quite a bit of damage, even if he is rather squishy towards armor himself.
Doing a huge chunk of damage to dominate himself. Maybe I underestimated Galio's damage.
And the 4v4, I suppose, seems favorable for LFA because it looks like they're willing to take it. Or actually, no, at the moment it's a 3v. The Elise down on the bottom side of the map, signaling to them to go to try and engage there.
Cheney off on the bottom side, trying to get that wave pushing.
There's a flash forward from Cheney. No, the dash away from Tranimal. Wilro, though, getting bursted down, and that is the support out of the picture. Wild Growth has been used, but in the end, it's not nearly enough. Marky Mark falls as well. Good flank from Cheney. Even if the cocoon didn't land, it put the enemy team in disarray.
Absolutely. Marky Mark actually just exploding.
Dominating, nearly chasing down Bloodbath. Gets him chunked down to half. And LFA are going to lose this outer mid turret now, which they fought so hard to keep for so long.
Absolutely. LFA is still very much on the back foot because of the earlier fight where they basically almost got aced. And actually, with that turret going down, that is going to push them down pretty significantly in the gold.
Yeah, an overextension after trying for that 3v4 fight. They should have taken the cooldowns that they got off that and been happy with it, maybe backed up a little bit more. Or at the very least, just had better vision control along the path that Elise was taking. Actually, no, they have great vision control. They have... No, those are red words. I'm colorblind, apparently. Yeah, they needed better vision control in the river, in Elise's path up towards the fight, if they wanted to keep going that far forwards. As such, they didn't have what they needed, and they got flanked on and obliterated. Marky Mark in particular got obliterated because he's built full armor at this point, pretty much. And there was a lot of magic damage coming his way, just from Cheney during that fight, actually.
He's very much on the squishy side. As I mentioned, he just exploded. Didn't even have a chance.
And this is a full AP Elise.
So. Oh my, that is a Leandry Storm he's working on, I believe.
Yeah, Runic echoes into some penetration. It makes a lot of sense. The enemy team isn't going to be building much. Maybe the Galio, just because it synergizes really well for him. And as you saw in that fight, Marky Mark gets eliminated almost instantly by it, so... Justice Punch flying wide from Bloodbath, but Winds of War still does some good damage. There's the taunt, but it gets avoided by Dominating. Nicely done. Winds of War comes down. Dominating can't quite survive if he continues to tank that, but Bloodbath going low himself. Winds of War gets shifted away from him. Here comes the ace in the hole. Bloodbath goes incredibly low. He misses the third cast. And it's a shutdown going over to the Caitlyn. What the hell is the cooldown on that ability, though? Winds of War was up so often.
Was that like 2 seconds? I need to look up the official cooldowns, but that was really quick.
6 seconds at max rank is the cooldown, without cooldown reduction. Of course, he's got the Spirit Visage and the Iceborne, so that's, I think, full 40%. I'll have to check.
I believe it's 30%. Maybe he has some kind of CDR.
Yeah, if he's got like runes or something for CDR, then it'll be a little bit higher. But one way or another, he's probably got around a 4 second cooldown, to 3 to 4 seconds at the very most. But control is gone. Dominating claims that, and this is LFA on the retreat.
Still very much in a lot of trouble. Marky Mark still doesn't have any magic resistance, so he's just exploding.
Yeah, but he's not in a great position to build magic resistance either, because it really is only Cheney that's doing any significant amount of magic damage. Donger Salesman arguably as well. Karma just has a great amount of burst this early on in the game, but that's going to fall off. Nautilus isn't really a threat. You want to be building armor, because this is Zed Caitlyn. They're going to scale. You want to be the frontline tank against that Caitlyn in particular, but then you leave yourself open to being bursted.
Absolutely. Probably wouldn't hurt to build at least a Spectral Cowl.
Yeah, and maybe at this point that is warranted, but I can't really fault him too much. As we've got violent violent fighting going on for this tower, but meanwhile another one is falling pretty quickly in the mid lane.
Absolutely.
Nobody's dealing with dominating. Once again, the Zed split push has just been too difficult.
Well, Control is on his way, and he does have the zombies now, so that does give him a fighting chance of dealing with dominating.
Yeah, but dominating doesn't even really have to kill him. You can just keep that lane shoved up, keep getting tiny little chunks of damage onto the turret, even in just through minion pressure. And meanwhile, Caitlyn will keep this one shoved up as well, and there's not a great way to reliably engage here. Of course, Galio ulti only usable on a on top of an ally, so he can't just heroically enter into the enemy team.
Absolutely.
It's only heroic if you're saving someone.
It's a much more interesting Shen ultimate.
There's nothing heroic about just punching someone. You have to justice punch them. That's how you be a hero. You don't just jump on people. You have to do it with finesse.
I need to listen to some of his lines to see if he has any really nice snarky one-liners.
Marky. But we've got Bloodbath taking up the front line. The really nicely placed Lulu ulti gets a lot of CC down, but Kashuna is pretty much untouched here.
And Redemption is going to give...
Dominating has left his split push. He's coming in from the side. There's a shift over the wall, but he does get exhausted. Bloodbath's life is forfeit for sure. The Death Mark will see to that. But Dominating trades for it, and I'm not really sure if that's worth it. But meanwhile, Caitlyn, as I mentioned, untouched in that last fight, is going to keep the push going here with his team valiantly around him, and another turret will fall. So even with a questionable one-for-one trade from Dominating, an advantage continues to build for Bendo.
And it did provide a distraction long enough for Kashuna basically to melt the turret. So maybe that was what they were aiming for.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like Bendovar Gaming are on track to take home the finals tonight. It is just a best of one, as our weekly Saturday tournaments are a best of one finals. Our buy-ins are a best of three, but the open tournaments are a best of one, so as to keep things efficient and
nice
not
and short,
have
so we're
tournaments
not
go
here
to 1 in the
until
morning.
1 or 2 in the morning.
We used to have best of threes for finals, and at one point I believe we had best of threes for semifinals and finals, and we would end up going until pretty regularly. So to be merciful both to us and the teams, we've changed that policy, but we do still keep the best of three for our Sunday buy-in tournaments, because best of three is certainly, as a format, superior in a lot of ways to a best of one.
Absolutely. And let's see. Both teams kind of hovering around this Baron, trying to get some vision up, trying to get control of vision. Marky flopping away before he takes any damage from anybody.
A slight adaptation in the way that Bendovar are playing this, though. They've got the split push now going with their Nautilus instead of the Zed. So it seems maybe like Comics might be roaming away from the bottom lane. And they've got the teleport at least, so you can join in. And there's a catch from Control. A lot of damage onto Cheney. That's a good target to be landing that damage on. Dominating over the wall. Control does have that Zonia's, as you mentioned, to try and avoid this very situation, but it's not nearly enough. Dominating claims the kill, leaving back in onto Marky Mark, who's burning down himself now. Here's the Hero's entrance, but Bloodbath and Beyond doesn't really have a team to be heroic for anymore. Gets pulled back into the fight by Comics. A big burst of damage from Tranimal, though. And it looks like LFA will back away without any further casualties, but they did lose their mid laner, and potentially that's enough to embolden the side of Bendovar Gaming.
Took a huge chunk of damage before he could Zonya.
There's a Zed flank right now. You got to keep your eye on Dominating. He's going to be coming in behind this fight. He's going to be using the Shadow Swamp to potentially get a bit closer, but no. It looks like LFA had kept their eye on him too, so they back away appropriately.
Absolutely. Dominating in a
just
position to either join the fight or take that top turret.
Yeah, he's going to start roaming towards the top turret, looks like. No, just stealing away a blue. A bit dangerous to go for the top turret at the moment. He could get easily flanked on, considering some of his team just based. I think that's the right call.
Absolutely. And he managed to get a reward for the process as well.
And the battle for vision around Baron continues. A good thing for LFA that pick onto the Victor didn't turn into anything more serious, that Baron didn't end up going down. But still, obviously not something you want. Even just the 300 gold that you give away for dying, you don't want to do that. But in the end, they do manage to maintain position, I suppose, in this game. They haven't fallen back. They haven't jumped forward. They're still just sitting relatively far behind, but not irrevocably so.
Absolutely. Marky Mark has that Iceborne Gauntlet finished. It looks like he's finally maybe going to work on some magic resistance. He has the health crystal. Maybe it's just to be a giant spell. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went for a Spear Fizz. I mean, look at that chunk he just took from a volatile Spiderling. But it's going to become less of an issue as Cheney starts to fall off a bit. Especially if Cheney builds full AP. He's just going to get chunked down like he did in that last fight, actually. But there's the Justice Punch from Bloodbath. The Dragon gets secured by LFA. Good start. Taunt onto Comics. Not really the target they want to focus, though. As Reload landing on 3. As you can see, Cheney rather squishy with that full AP build. There's the Nautilus ulti for the disengage, but LFA seem willing to keep this fight going, perhaps.
They're risking looking for a fight here by giving the turret to dominating pretty much.
Oh, pardon me, my mic got muted, but we've still got the fight going on nonetheless. Kashuna dropping incredibly low, and Control claims the kill. This is a great start to the fight for LFA. There's a Justice Punch on a Donger Salesman, and he will be chased away. No solicitors here, please. Comics trying to claim some sort of consolation prize for his team. Does not land the hook. Body slam away. And Wilro is going to keep nettling at him until somebody with some damage can maybe come and deal with this Nautilus. Maybe it's Marky Mark, maybe it's Control. Though. I mean, this is quite an elongated chase. Meanwhile, top side, dominating his shove again. He's taking an inhibitor turret. He's working on an inhibitor right now. Gragas has managed to base, but it's too little too late. Dominating claims the inhibitor. Meanwhile, though, in the mid lane, there's a 3-man shove. AD carry involved, and an inhibitor may be matched. Dominating, this is really aggressive. This is really aggressive from the Zed. Marky Mark may be squishy to the Elise, but he has a lot of armor, and he's very dive. Flash forward from Dominating, he trades his life.
It is a trade, but an inhibitor only for the mid turret. I'd say BDG, despite almost getting an ace there, is still in the lead. And
oh, Bloodbath. Bloodbath is gone.
Unfortunately, he does get caught out.
Cupcake. Kashuna's cupcake placement has been so very good this game. Not really something that you get to see the micro of too often, but Kashuna has made dropping traps seem very, very mechanically skillful.
So little things like that can make such a huge difference.
For sure. And Baron once again is the subject of the tango between these two teams. I would just like to point out that Cheney is continuing to go the glass cannon route with his Elise build.
That could very well turn into a Rylai's, or no, it can't now.
It's going to be difficult for him in these fights, I feel like. Yeah, I think Rylai's is likely, but that's a lot of damage now down onto Vendovar. LFA see a very juicy team fight if they can only manage to get an engage off.
Absolutely.
They're kited back.
They get kited out pretty hard, but they still do very large chunks of damage to Comics and Cheney and Kashuna.
And they've got to worry about that top lane inhibitor being down. They've got Galio on it right now. Bloodbath, of course, does have multiple ways to enter the fight. Depending on where the fight is, he can teleport in or he can leap in with Hero's Entrance if it's close enough. It's a semi-global, sort of similar to a Nocturne ulti. But kind of the opposite of a Nocturne ulti, I guess, thematically. But similar in range at the very least.
It's far more epic, I would say.
Far more heroic, for sure.
Absolutely.
And perhaps there's, coming back to a point a few minutes ago, perhaps there's some merit to Cheney going full glass cannon. It means that there is a realistic AP damage threat on the roster here for Vendovar, because if he went even just off tank, there'd be almost no reason to build magic resist for Marky Mark and Bloodbath. And so it's punishing the full armor build that we're seeing, well, almost full armor build that we're seeing from both of these guys, exempting a single Spirit Visage. So I like the choice to some degree, but it does mean that Cheney has to play very, very well, as Trandall's dead.
Oh my, Trandall not knowing that Dominating is there.
He's good at killing 80 carries, it turns out.
Very, very good at killing 80 carries.
Yeah.
Poor Dominating poor Trandall didn't even have a chance. He flashed and still got picked up really easily there.
And once again, Dominating is just going to split this out. His team started off the Baron. LFA could maybe take a 4v4 here at best because they're missing their 80 carry at the moment, so Vendovar has kind of got them in a tough spot, and there's the Smite secure. However, Vendovar are in a tough spot themselves. Donger Salesman's going to go down. Control has a lot of control over this fight because they are trapped in that pit, and Dominating has to back away. However, they turn it back around. Gragas goes down. Control is still busting out some good damage, though, and Shaney misses the cocoon, but Control, oh my god, gets bursted away by this glass cannon, Elise. Kashuna, though, coming in with a Piltover. I'm sure this is at least a dead Lulu. And, yep, there's Ace in the hole, but no, Control lives! He gets the shield from Bloodbath! Now Dominating's there from the side. A moment of excitement briefly quashed as Bendovar easily take the Baron and a team fight.
And this very well could be... Now the redemption comes down, that's going to give them a heal. They're easily going to take these turrets. There's only Tranel who's just recently respawned.
And this is the penultimate failure, I think, for the side of Life for Ire. They don't have another chance. If we see another team fight loss, the game is probably over at that point. They're down 2 inhibitors, they've lost this Baron, and they are at a huge deficit. Not to mention the fact that they still don't have a good answer for Zed. They don't have a great way to stop this Zed split push that doesn't make them weak in some other way, that doesn't leave them open to a 4v4 team fight, or just dominating trying to find a pick. This is not as juicy a target as the Ezreal was, though. And Wilro is there to help heal, so yeah, Dominating doesn't get the kill.
Does a decent chunk of damage to him, but fortunately Dominating does not have enough to finish off Marky Mark when he's wild growth like that.
Yeah, a full penetration build, though, from this Zed means that even against Marky Mark, he is something of a threat. And Bloodbath trying to check in onto this Elder Drake is just going to meet Donger Salesman, who's playing interception for his team. Dominating as well, helping out. Willow having to flash away from the Zed, and Elder Drake goes down. LFA getting asphyxiated out of this game.
Yeah, and that is going to be... Oh, wow.
Bloodbath gets snared up. Kashun is a great source of damage to help melt through all this tankiness, as Dominating actually has to get out of there. The heal benefiting from his AD carry, and Dominating is on a rampage. Kashuna getting chunked, flashes away from the Victor Burst, and just about survives. The Chaos Storm nearly bringing down Shaney, but he repels in time. And now it's a shove onto the last remaining inhibitor turret.
No hesitation from BDG. They didn't even really back
there. They've got the Elder Drake. They've got quite a lot of damage to burn these structures away with, and I imagine this inhibitor will fall without much fuss.
Yeah, only Dominating has backs here.
Chanimal takes a chunk there. There's the redemption once again to top them off. Dominating, having based, is rushing down the mid lane as quickly as he can.
And they might just rotate to this turret, or they might take the top inhibitor, one of the two.
Nexus turrets. They're going to make it a clean game, though. They're backing off to this last remaining inhibitor.
Oh, here comes Dominating.
Dominating, dashing forwards. There's the Shadow Swamp. Control getting bursted down. This is exactly the target they want to bring out of the fight, and there goes the Victor. The Gragas quick to follow, and there is no amount of heroism that will allow Galio to save this game. Life for Ire sent to second place. Admittedly, an impressive position nonetheless, but it will be Benthovar Gaming who take the coveted first place prize of Deco gift cards. Hey! Segues.
Absolutely. That is going to give them the bragging rights, a free ticket into tomorrow's tournament, and $75 worth of Deco gift cards. And that's going to be it, guys. Thanks for coming out. I would like to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Obviously, there's Deco, who is the sponsor of this tournament specifically. And then we also have Vibi, which is the service we use to create our highlight reels, which you can check out at their Twitter. And then we also have, let's see, LOL History app, which is a phone application for Android and iPhone that functions as a somewhat of a lookup tool. And then last, but certainly not least, is the website we use to run our tournament, which is Battlefy. If you've played this tournament, you have signed up through them. And I guess that's going to be it. And I've been... Hopefully we can see you guys tomorrow night.
Yeah, if you enjoyed the casting, if you enjoyed the gameplay, if you enjoyed really anything that was going on here, then please do tap that follow button, because we will be live once again tomorrow night around the same time and certainly in the same place.
Alrighty, good night, guys.
Have a good night, everybody.